Hi guys. Today I'm chilling here in my kitchen. You can see my bike behind me. I wanted to chat a little bit, something I've been thinking about recently and keeps coming up in conversations when I try to describe the types of aesthetics and methodologies that seem to be dominating the design culture at the moment. Specifically in relation to kind of fabrication techniques and technology around design. I think back in the 20s to the 40s, there was a huge surge in new technologies kind of pioneered by architects like Corbusier and the Eames around the war. And there's this culture around efficiency that helped promote and push the standardization of production and mass production. So Eames created the bent plywood, which was used to create slings during the war, and then went on to use that to create furniture products. Corbusier kind of pioneered with his brother the reinforced concrete stacking of what's dominating the architectural world today. Concrete buildings, creating a free plan and things like that. So nowadays, I think we're in the similar kind of point where, actually, hold on. So after mass production happened and after mass standardization happened, we got into a period where we were able to replicate things within our industry. So Ford created their cars and produced these kind of iterations of the same product that were able to pump out quickly, right? And there's an architecture as well, these kind of standardized buildings that you could put everywhere in the world. And the problem was that this started to strip away identity and create kind of a lack of aesthetic, a lack of interest in these parts. So then architects came around in the postmodern era and started pushing against this and pushing color and form and trying to bring in culture back into design and bring in what I think of as their own identities. So that happened in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and Venturi kind of blew it out of the water when he went to LA and Las Vegas and kind of looked at American architecture and showed kind of not just the good side of postmodernism, but maybe the kind of commercialization of it, and how it's kind of affected the U.S. Nowadays, though, I think we've kind of found this type of efficiency again with mass production of products in China and the way that all of our toys are made in China. Hundreds of millions of them. All our fridges are exactly the same. All of our products are exactly the same. Our bottles, our coffee makers, our coffee cups, everything from IKEA to CB2 to there's just this kind of standardization of what we understand as kind of the norm or the kind of normal kind of apartment, the normal street, the normal coffee shop, the normal. And a lot of this has to do with capitalization as well. I think once you can create one business, you can kind of mass produce that business and that business methodology as well. Put the Starbucks in Seattle, but then put the Starbucks in Colombia as well. Put the Starbucks in Dubai. It's going to be the same exact store, which is strange. So then how do you move away from that? How do you stop trying to be so efficient about your production? How do you bring back that kind of cultural uniqueness and cultural identity back into products? But at the same time, do it with a efficiency that comes with mass production. So that brings to the technology of nowadays that's kind of coming out, which is 3D printing, which has been around since the 80s and is finally starting to hit the Nike and Adidas and big companies that can do it in an efficient way. Still not mass customization, like the 3D printed Nike shoes or 3D printed Adidas soles, midsoles are all the same soles. They're not, each part isn't unique, even though it could have been. So, something to think about. And then in the architecture industry as well, with robotics and CNC production, the way that we're 3D modeling everything, I think there's a way to bring in more and more complexity, but not quite is the fabrication industry or construction industry ready to mass customize every part of an architecture building without insane costs. They still want BIM models with hundreds of million components that are exactly the same, so they can just kind of put it all together like a puzzle with the exact same pieces, so it's super easy. The windows are standardized, the mullions are standardized, the stairs are standardized, everything's a product you pick off the shelf and assemble. There's no real customization unless you're doing a very high-end design project with a Starchitect, or you're doing some kind of custom interior design project that's got custom millwork. Also very expensive, but since it's a smaller project, smaller cost. So something I'm starting to notice recently is we're kind of coming at it from both sides, from very large architecture firms being able to do mass customization because they have money, or high-end small interior firms that can do mass customization because they have wealthy clients. So how do we bridge the gap and bring mass customization to the mainstream market? Is that something we want to do? Should customized, unique products only be available for high-end users, or should they be available for everyone? Does everyone want them? Some people probably want to have the same stuff that everyone else does because it's cool, or because whatever. Something interesting to think about. I think in the next 15-20 years we'll definitely see the technology that'll make it efficient and accessible for the masses, and that's something we'll have to deal with. Do we want that?